This morning on DC News Now, the Supreme Court says a mistakenly deported Maryland man must be brought back to the U.S. How his attorney and the White House are responding to the ruling. Cloudy skies and scattered rain to end the week. Meteorologist Jackie Layer tracking how long that rainfall is expected to last. 2 planes clip wings at DCA. Passengers split over safety after the latest incident at the airport this year.
I thought they was going to make changes.
I always feel safe flying.
Worries over World Pride.
The situation in the U.S. is increasingly hostile to LGBTQ rights.
Organizers concerned over what the Trump administration's policies mean for transgender travelers. And the Caps are #1. What ticket prices look like at Capital One Arena as the team takes a top spot in the East.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Well, good morning. Thanks for starting your Friday with us here on DC News Now. I'm Tanaya Wright.
And good morning. I'm Shanika Grimshaw in for Corey James. I'm going to have a look at the commute in just a bit. But first, we want to talk about the roadways on this early Friday morning. TGIF, Jackie.
Yeah, I mean, out there right now, the roads are remaining dry. But later on today, those roads will become a bit more on the wet side. Couldn't even see some ponding on those roadways, too. We'll see those clouds continue to build in along with that rain. That rain is still well down towards our south and west associated with that low that'll continue to lift its way northward. So as we zoom in on the map, just a couple of light sprinkles now across southern Maryland. Rest of the area, it is dry, but back out towards our westernmost areas, we are dealing with low visibility because of some fog. Down about a mile or less, Cumberland, Kaiser, and Garrett County. 3 miles of visibility over towards Culpeper, 7 in Winchester. Relatively mild start to the day, though. We're into those mid-upper 40s for your Friday morning commute for much of the area. Now, you really won't see a big difference in the high temperatures for the day today, only into those lower to mid-50s. And we'll see more of that rain building in through the latter half of the morning and into the early afternoon. I would say by 3 p.m. we're looking at some steady to heavy rain at times, especially along and east of the I-95 corridor. So I have more details on that and how much rainfall you can expect coming up in just a few minutes. Shanika, what's the latest on those roadways right now?
All right. Hey, Jackie, let's check out 295. That's BW Parkway heading north and southbound. Just past 32, that's in the Jessup area. You will see just some congestion. There's a report of a crash there, and you'll see some slowdown. So just remember, just watch your speeds if you must travel in this direction. It's getting a bit, well, it's still pretty quiet, but it will get busy. You're only at the top of the 6 o'clock hour. Looking at the 14th Street Bridge, movement, not a bad commute. And if you're planning to travel this morning, 6695 and the rest of your area is looking good.
The time right now is 6:02. The Supreme Court ruled unanimously that the Trump administration must return a Maryland man mistakenly deported to El Salvador.
Yeah, his lawyer, community members, and loved ones have been pushing for this for almost a month. DC News Now's Yamari Sase is live at the Supreme Court. Good morning, Yamari. Now, his family likely just breathing a sigh of relief this morning.
Yeah, good morning. This is something that many people have been looking forward to in regards to Kilmar Abrego Garcia. They have been waiting for him to finally be returned home, and hopefully that will take place soon. Now, this was a unanimous decision, and the court did rule that the Trump administration must facilitate his return back to the U.S. Now, this 29-year-old was first deported back by ICE back in March, but the El Salvadorian man had an immigration court order preventing him from his deportation back to El Salvador and fear of persecution from local gangs. Now, the Trump administration did admit sending him to El Salvador prison was an administrative error, but claims he was a member of the MS-13 gang. Now, although he was never charged or convicted of a crime, family members, community, and his lawyers were pushing for his return. And just last week, they requested that the U.S. District Court return him home. Now, a judge did agree, giving the Trump administration a deadline on Monday to have Abrego Garcia back in the U.S., but the Trump administration appealed that. And just yesterday, the Supreme Court ruled the Trump administration must bring Abrego Garcia back to the U.S. to his wife and children. Now, in the statement, the White House officials do say that, as the Supreme Court correctly recognized, it is the exclusive prerogative of the president to conduct foreign affairs, by directly noting the difference owed to the executive branch. This ruling once again illustrates that activist judges do not have the jurisdiction to seize control of the president's authority to conduct foreign policy. And those many in support of this actually said, as the governor of Maryland, public safety is a #1 priority, but our system of justice demands fairness. The U.S. Supreme Court has unanimously spoken that fairness is expected for Kilmar. And that was from Governor Wes Moore. So there is an outpour of statements from so many officials that were in support of him coming back to the U.S. Now, right now, it's unclear exactly when those plans will take place, but he is supposed to be coming back to Maryland soon. We're now reporting here in Northeast D.C. I'm Yamari Sase, DC News Now.
Marie, thank you for those updates this morning. And 6:04, for a second time in 3 days here in the DMV, a gun goes off in the student's backpack. Now, this time it happened at Billingsley Elementary School in Charles County, Maryland. Officials have canceled classes today. Investigators say the student was looking in a book bag when the weapon accidentally went off. Nobody was injured. And the 9-year-old telling police the gun belongs to a visiting relative at his home. We spoke to a number of people in Charles County who says this is every parent's worst nightmare.
To find out it was an elementary school, that was the shocking thing. First off, how does an elementary child get a hold of a handgun? So probably some investigation needs to be done on that and make sure that children can't access these weapons.
Now, the Charles County State's attorney is looking to see if charges will be filed. Also developing now, a helicopter crash in New York City. Witnesses describing it as breaking apart midair and landing in the Hudson River. 6 people were killed, including a family of tourists from Spain.
That is right. This all happened yesterday above the Hudson between Manhattan and New Jersey. Video posted on social media shows parts of the helicopter splashing into the water. Now, we do want to warn you, the images may be disturbing. We have stopped the video just before that helicopter makes impact. Officials say this was a sightseeing helicopter just 18 minutes into the flight. Aviation experts told the Associated Press the video of that crash suggests that the helicopter had a catastrophic mechanical failure, leaving the pilot with no chance to save it. Now, it was a startling scene for witnesses.
Sound was like a crack, and then suddenly it was like, oh, what's going on? And then I look at the building, I'm like, oh, what's going on? And then I went out. I saw everybody was coming to this direction.
The FAA and the NTSB are investigating the crash.
And there are now growing concerns about congested flights at Reagan National after 2 American airline planes clipped each other's wings on the tarmac yesterday. The FAA says 80 passengers and crew on a flight headed to South Carolina hit the wingtip of a New York-bound flight to JFK. The New York flight had 71 people on board, including 2 members of Congress. This incident comes as DCA has had a lot of concerning incidents in the last few months, and that is including the deadly plane crash, if you remember, back in January. Some travelers shocked by the incident, while others aren't too worried.
Always feel safe flying, so I think it's just highlighted right now a few incidences.
I thought they was going to make changes with the accident that just happened, but it looks like they didn't make any changes at all, any.
American Airlines says 1 wingtip was damaged on each of their 2 planes, and they were taken out of service. Virginia Senator Mark Warner says a full investigation must happen as soon as possible.
And on the move, Metro says it's going to expand its automated train system to the Green Line this summer. This comes despite concerns from the Transit Safety Watchdog Group. Now, Metro Safety Commission says too many Red Line trains have been going past where they're supposed to stop. That means passengers cannot safely get on or off the train, but Metro says the automated system has a 99.9% success rate. Meantime, the Metro Board has approved the agency's nearly $5 billion budget for the next fiscal year. It also includes longer weekend hours starting June 22nd. The trains will start running an hour earlier and close an hour later on the weekends. The Silver Line will now have 2 destinations in Maryland, one going to New Carrollton, the other to downtown Largo. There is going to be more Silver and Red Line trains running at peak times during the week.
And in the district, Mayor Muriel Bowser is calling on the House to pass the D.C. budget fix. She says not passing the bill would result in $1 billion worth of cuts to D.C. services. According to the mayor, the impacts would affect police overtime, firefighters, and programs for kids. It is also postponing the release of next year's budget. When Congress will pass the bill, that's still up in the air, and the House is out of session until April 28th.
And recent cuts to the federal workforce showing a grim look at the region's economy. That is according to Metropolitan Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments. They held a meeting yesterday to discuss the impacts. COG Executive Director Clark Mercer says cutting the workforce by 10% is about equal to a $5 billion blow to the economy. Mercer also concerned about laid-off workers leaving the area for good. Other concerns brought up at the meeting include losing lots of money in hospitality and mass closures of local restaurants.
There are growing concerns about whether new policies will limit the number of transgender people who travel to D.C. for World Pride. That's later this spring. The international event is expected to draw millions of people to the district, but organizers say there could be some risks for those coming in from other countries. Some had issued travel advisories and are urging people who have changed gender to contact their U.S. embassy before the travel. Capital Pride Alliance is considering a statement telling transgender people traveling from other countries either not to come or to come at their own risk.
They are doing what any traveler should do when traveling to another country is checking on those advisories. But also acknowledging, the state of the country and, the fact that folks do have fear and concerns.
D.C. is expecting to get 2 million overnight visitors for World Pride, which starts late next month.
And the National Cherry Blossom Festival Parade happening this weekend. It's going to be making its way down Constitution Avenue with colorful balloons. Now you can see the elaborate floats, marching bands from across the country, celebrity entertainers and performers along that parade route. It kicks off tomorrow at 10 a.m. and runs until 12:30.
And there is a National Landings Pink in the Park series, and that'll be a pop-up gallery featuring more than 90 artists, a breakdancing showcase, and so much more. The Art of Pink is in collaboration with the Museum of Contemporary Art in Arlington. The event starts at 5 p.m. and that is going to be free. That is happening this weekend. The celebration, that is also a part of the Cherry Blossom celebrations. And again, it's called Art of Pink. It is now 6:11 on this Friday morning. This is exciting. The Caps are playoff bound with the #1 seed in the East.
Yes, they are. Still to come, how much ticket prices could set you back for a playoff game at Capital One Arena, and trade war trouble in the markets. Why investigators still worried even as the president pulls back on Liberation Day tariffs.
And let's take a live look outside on this Friday morning. No sun yet, Jackie, but we are expecting some rain.
Yeah, we already have those cloudy skies taking over right now, and we'll have more of that rain building in later this morning. That'll likely stick around through much of the day today, so do not forget the rain gear before you head out this morning. I'll have more details, the timing, and how much rainfall you can expect right after the break.